Hi. Oh, great, you're finally.
Hello, and a very, very good morning, everyone. This is amazing. Thank you so much for all the speakers for being here, and this is absolutely delightful. Talking about today's panel, which is going to be talking about the new phase of the wedding industry, the moderator for this panel is going to be Jweta Himdev. Welcome, Jweta. And about Jweta, she is the founder and CEO of YOLO Entertainment and Weddings, which is a luxury wedding planning company with the experience of planning and curating events, shows, larger than life weddings across the globe and world over. Shweta and YOLO has proved their excellence in the work by garnering expertise and on all the past works that they have done, from winning the best design to best destination weddings, and have been written about across the wedding media for the same. So thank you, Shweta, for moderating the panel, and welcome to each and every panelists here. Hello, Jen Lee. Hello, Alisa. Hello, Andrew Robbie, for being here. This is an absolute pleasure having all of you here from across the globe on this screen. Well, quickly, just for the attendees here, also a very warm welcome. Thank you all for being here, and I'm sure you all are going to have a great learning experience out of this panel. Feel free to ask any questions at any point of time in the comment box, and Jweta, the moderator, she is going to take it up for you. On my left and to your right, there are three buttons. The topmost button is a question mark, which you can click on and ask your questions, and that can be viewed only by the panelists or either by everyone. So, Shweta, thank you once
Yeah.
again, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Shikha, and thank you so much for introducing me so well and speaking all about YOLO Entertainment and weddings. I'm now wondering how do I introduce myself. But I'd like to begin with a hello to all from our wedding fraternity, Andrew, Elisa, and Jen. I hope we are going to have fun during the entire panel discussion. And just before I could start, Shika has done has spoken words about the kind of work that we do, but YOLO Entertainment and Weddings, like most of us, yeah, I did go through all the kind of work that all of you do, and it's absolutely fabulous. Andrew, Lisa, Jenny, all your work I've seen, and I was totally inspired. And just to give you a little bit about YOLO Entertainment and Weddings, in the same space, we are into weddings, celebrations, events, and curating it globally. And obviously, trying to make the dreams come true of our brides and grooms. And that's always the attempt to bring that big, big, big smile on their faces. So now, getting on to our panel discussion that we were going to be talking about, I just penned down some thoughts before we could get on to, certain discussions with regards to the industry and the current situation. So I thought I'll just take us through that. That at all times, in this particular moment, we have all come along on our different ships. But today, at this point, we are all in the same boat. Rethink, reboot, realign has now pretty much been the mantra for each one of us in the fraternity. Well, everywhere, but as much so in our fraternity as well. Having said that, today we are here to discuss amongst ourselves what we have in mind, our thoughts, our insights, our vision, and all that has affected, and the current situation and how that's affected the wedding industry, especially. It is also true that necessity is the mother of invention. And having said that again, we as human beings do learn to adapt to the changing times. And I'm sure we will also adapt to the current situation. We are already adapting to norms, to safety guidelines. We will definitely adapt and emerge triumphant overall at the end of it. So while we assess what's going on globally with all of us, with the economy, the pandemic taking over on one side of it, we are redefining ourselves on a daily basis, adapting and focusing on the new normal. So I think we could say that change is inevitable, and these changing times for us all together is the time to collaborate. Having said that, I'd like to introduce our wedding experts that we have from across the globe. Because yes, it is time to collaborate with each one of you from across that we've done even in the past, but now more so because there is all the more reason for us to move together because this is the way forward. So I'd like to introduce each one of you, Jen Lee Events, Elisa Mochi Events, and Andrew Robbie Events. All the event companies, esteemed panelists, please, I mean, I'd like each one of you to introduce yourselves. Let's begin with Andrew, who's the odd one out amongst all the women on the panel. So, Andrew, over to you. I'd request you to say a few things about you, your company, your experiences, and your thoughts.
Awesome. And thank you all first for having me a part of this expo. I think it's a very honor and privilege to be a part of this. My name is Andrew Roby. I am the lead creator at Andrew Roby Events, where part of what we do is wedding planning and production. I am based here in Washington, D.C., so it's super early, but I love it. And I have been planning events for going on 14 years now, and we plan everything. We plan from small, intimate occasions to large, lustrous weddings that have 400 plus people that are attending. So it's been a really awesome journey to be able to see the variety of couples that have us planning weddings, and we've done amazing work, been featured in so many various magazines and online, and even in the news, CNN, Forbes, Fox, and a lot of other media outlets. So I'm super grateful, even though during this time it's been crazy difficult to navigate a business and employees and still try to plan weddings for our couples and navigate canceling and rescheduling. But it's been a very huge opportunity for us to learn, adapt, and still move forward within this wedding industry. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Yes, we're all glad to be here. And as we said, we're going to take it through and we're going to make it through. I'll move on to Elisa from Elisa Mochi Events. Please grace us with a few words with regards to your
Yeah,
company.
hello everybody, and thank you so much. Also in Italy, it's very early in the morning. It's okay.
So a
Thanks
very
for
good
the
morning to
market.
everyone.
And I'm Elisa. I'm the founder of Elisa Mochi Events. We are in the luxury event industry from 12 years, about. And we started our career in Sardinia, that is in Italy. It's an island in the middle of the Mediterranean. And now we actually work in Italy and Europe, and we plan and design, especially design and produce weddings. So we took part also of the creative field, and we love it. And we are celebrated from the media for our outdoor weddings because I started specializing in outdoor weddings. So in this moment for us, it's very good because outdoor weddings are going to be popular. And yeah, we are trying to be optimistic. I founded also an academy to train wedding professionals 7 years ago. And in this peculiar moment, I'm also trying to develop this idea also with online courses, and this is so important to continue to keep optimistic and positive in this moment. So thank you so much, and I'm really grateful to be here with all of us.
Thank you so much, Elisa. From here, I'm going to take on that yes, positivity is the key, and that's going to keep us going for sure. And before I come back to each one of you, let's have Jen Lee from Philippines
Yes,
to tell us
hello.
more about her. Hi.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. It's afternoon here in the Philippines. So, good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure and honor to be part of this panel discussion. Thank you so much for having me here. And nice to meet you, Andrew, Elisa, and Weta. Same with Andrew. I have been in the events industry, started with wedding since for 14 years already. So yes, like Andrew, we've been doing big and small weddings here in the Philippines, both outdoor and indoor, and also with other events. And yes, same with Elisa. I have been also been a mentor. I have also been teaching also sort of wedding planners here in our country, running for I think 10 years now. So I'm really glad and happy that to meet wedding experts from around the globe sharing the same passion like you guys are doing. The passion that we do for the weddings, for our clients, and also the passion of teaching or sharing what we do to other people as well. So, with this platform, the collaboration is the key to success. I am so one with this vision. Thank
True.
you.
Thank you. So, I mean, generally, if I could ask you, what exactly do you think would have been the impact? I mean, what would have been the impact of the wedding industry before the pre-pandemic time? So, how do you think that your country would have been impacted by the wedding industry in terms of the economy? And yeah, over to you.
Yeah, it's actually, I think we're all the same, not only in our country. That the weddings have been canceled this year and majority moved to next year. As per Andrew, that they were the clients were postponing to next year, weddings next year. They're moving their weddings to next year. However, this year there are some, but the couples opted for intimate weddings or smaller weddings. So like this month and next month we have some upcoming weddings, but relatively really intimate and small weddings.
Right. So, I mean, if I would ask you just for our viewers here as well, before the pandemic, uh, how was uh, the wedding, the fraternity in the Philippines? So, if you
How
could
was
just
it
give
before
us
the
the time
pandemic?
before,
Yeah.
more importantly, and then we could talk about
Yeah.
even how it has changed now.
Before the pandemic, couples were just spending millions and they're having the grandest celebration of their life. You see
Right.
all the decorations up there, the ceiling down there, on the floor, on the left, on the walls, on the end at the entrance, it's everywhere. So that's how weddings are before the pandemic here.
Sounds great. So, it was definitely contributing largely to the economy as well
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of the
yes, yes.
yeah, monetarily. Wow, thank you, Henry. Andrew, we are back to you now. What thoughts do you have on this?
Yeah, so the wedding industry, we're talking about billions of dollars that is contributed to the wedding industries in each country around the world. And before the pandemic, we literally were doing six-figure weddings. Like, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars that goes towards weddings. And of course, not all weddings were six figures, but at the same time, they were really great weddings that cost anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 for our couples, and not necessarily a lot of them were large guest counts, but they were still spending a good amount of money to be able to create experiences, for their guests. And now, we were enjoying all of that. We were enjoying being able to create these unique concepts for each of our couples, and really not worry about it. I just did a anniversary email, and down to one of my couples who had their wedding at the Washington National Cathedral, which is a huge exclusive venue that not everybody can get into, and now the cathedral is closed. And so, just to be able to reflect on the past and to see how many weddings that we were able to do, and to now see what's happening now, it's just it's just humbling, honestly, to be able to see everything that's been going on. But I truly enjoy everything that we've been able to do in the past, and to see what learnings we can have moving forward.
Well, as they always say, it's always nice to focus not on what we've already done in the past, but to focus your energies into the future in building
Yep.
new. So, taking on from that, Elisa, please
Yeah.
enlighten us with a few words
Yeah,
from
for
that part of the world. And I love Italy, and I have recently just been there, and I am in. I mean, I love each and every place that we are talking to here, but especially Italy, I have my heart.
Exactly. And for that reason, for Italy, it's really the hardest moment because the country became so popular in the last years for
Yes,
destination weddings. Also, thanks to the VIP clients from all around the world. They came here and the media coverage. And also because we have a beautiful nature and arts and villas. And so the
and
surrounding is
vineyards
so
and
romantic. Exactly, the paintings and everything. And so I think we were living our best moment in the industry. And yeah, and this is so unexpected. So we are trying to understand how to move forward. I think compared, for example, with Philippines or other countries that are spending lots of money indoor, in Italy we will start again to do weddings as before. Maybe a little bit smaller, but I don't think so. Because we have lots of beautiful outdoor venues and palaces and lakes and sea and whatever. So we just have to wait. But about money for all the industry, it's a huge impact. And so, especially this year, we have to be all careful to save our industry, and that's truly important because all the societies, especially the smallest one, but also the biggest one with employees and a lot of costs, are having a very strong and difficult moment.
I completely feel that sentiment. I think each one of us in our parts of the world are going through similar situations. But if I had to ask you, how do you think these 6 months of inactivity, how have you handled it on a personal front? And how do you think, I mean, with regards to your company, and how do you think your vendors, your collaborators have also dealt with a similar situation in the past 6 months of inactivity during the pandemic?
Yeah, at the beginning we tried to understand what happening, and we immediately reduced a little bit the working hour of the employees, just to understand, because Italy was in the strict lockdown since the beginning for more than 2 months, so total lockdown. And after, we immediately understood that normal events, were not possible this year, and we were not knowing about the next months. And so, because my own clients are all international, so we both decided to postpone. So the market here is restarting a little bit with local weddings because it's easier. But for international, it's totally impossible because we have restrictions for travel and the borders and whatever. And so I think the most important impact actually is on the destination wedding field. And so in these months, we are trying to work with contracts, with vendors, trying also economically to not lose money for us, for the vendors, and especially for the clients because they have no fault about that. And yeah, we are trying to protect everybody as much as possible. This is our work. So in the meantime, the world was stopping. I think the wedding industry were working more and more and more, but not reaching money. And this is so weird. So weird.
That's true. But I mean, so which are the months, if you had to say, for the international clients, would be during summer season, of course, for you, right?
Yeah.
Right, right, right. So thank you, Elisa. Moving on to Andrew, can we have some points from you with regards to how you've taken care, or I mean, you as well as the entire fraternity back home has taken care of this current situation with regards to your vendors, clients, employees, contractors, hotels, etc.
Yeah, so it's honestly, so the US was our first COVID positive person was in March, I believe. And so
Right.
and that was in Washington State. And so I was actually in Dallas with a client, just navigating and confirming a lot of things for their wedding, and then flying back to DC afterwards. And so at that point, honestly, everything was just canceled. A lot of our couples were calling and saying, what's going on? What can we do as far as our venues, and navigating the venues, navigating the catering companies, who are all trying to figure out whether they need to cancel or postpone, and what the ramifications of all of that was. And so it just got to the point where the government wasn't necessarily regulating what was going on as far as events and weddings. The states were required to do so. And so, for instance, here in DC, it got to the point that it was 250 guests were allowed to be at an event. Then it dropped down to 150. Then it dropped down to 50. Then 10, and then nothing. And then, and so it was just a trickle effect that just kept us in, like, running in circles trying to figure out what was going on. And then we got to the point where we started to reopen. And so events and weddings up to 10 people were allowed. And now we're back up to doing 50 people per event or per wedding. And so we've been doing micro weddings, where it's just a smaller version of a wedding with a little bit of people, but still going through that motion of having a wedding and having the ceremony and a beautiful occasion, but not spending as many hours creating a particular wedding, because we know weddings can last all day if they wanted to. But now our weddings are lasting between 2 and 3 hours, for a guest count of 50 or less. So that's pretty much what we've been doing, and just working with our venues, working with our other vendors to try to keep them employed and keep money coming into their business. But it's been difficult. I will admit that.
True, true. Yes, it has been difficult for each one of us. But tell me something now. If in terms of even your hotels, have they been accommodated enough when the clients were canceling? How did you all treat that? Because as you said that they cancelled on the event instantly, did you all get a refund? How did you deal with that situation immediately during the crisis?
Right. So fortunately for us and the clients that we've had with the hotels and venues, no one was receiving pushback as far as rescheduling or canceling and getting deposits back. However, there have been way too many couples that have been fighting with their venue, their hotel, about being able to reschedule, and even getting deposits back because they decided to go an alternate route. So it's been very difficult to try to get hotels and some venues to be compliant and understand what's going on. A lot of them, and we get it, a lot of the hotels and venues are saying, we're losing money, we don't have that money to be able to give back, and things like that. And I understand that. And so it's been a difficult journey for both the couples and for venues and hotels, trying to figure out honestly what to do. A lot of the insurance companies didn't offer cancellation insurance where they would cover such expenses. And even now, the New York Times has put out a report stating that the cancellation clauses are gone, and that insurance companies are no longer honoring those, and that they're stating that the pandemic is a known event. And so, because it's a known event, they will not cover it. So, it's been a difficult journey. It really has.
Right. Yes, I can totally understand. I mean, we're all dealing with our two bits of
Yeah.
a similar situation. And Jen, please could you tell us with the situation at your end and how things have changed?
Yes. Similarly with Andrew, that the issue of, well, here the couples and the wedding vendors are also having a conflict regarding refunds and cancellations. So it's the
Right,
same issue here in our country, but compared to yours here, um, the government didn't like, we had instant lockdown. There was no gradual shift from 100 to 50 down to 20 guests down to 10. It was an instant lockdown. So all the events that were scheduled, we can't push through because they said so that it's a lockdown. So it's like what, so all our clients were really panicking. So what we did with the first few months is to pacify them, to
right,
assure them that we're here to help you. We're not leaving you, even if our events are moved or canceled. We're not up really to the money. It's like what we do as wedding planners. Since out of our passion, we're really here to help them. So that's what we did. We helped them, rescheduled their events, their date to next year, called up their wedding vendors, and helped. We're like the one like I said, of course, the weddings have been canceled, so wedding vendors was also affected financially. So we're like the one in the middle that's
right.
balancing both the problem of the couples and the wedding vendors at the same time. I'm sure you are also in that
Yes.
situation. Yeah.
More so, we're also in the space of getting inquiries up to date and not knowing where this is headed. So, in terms of the wait and watch period for most of us here as well at our end in India, so that is one thing that, I mean, we're all hopeful that it will open up. But yes. But Jen, if I had to ask you, in terms of, with the government now, have they come up with certain measures to help out the wedding industry? And if yes, or something that you can share with us.
Yes, actually, it's really just recently that they opened up. We were allowed to operate or accept events with a 50% of the capacity of the venue. But
Okay.
inside the church here, they're only allowing 10, maximum of 10 people inside churches here. But in the venue, it's 50% of the capacity.
So you are allowed to do 50% of capacity. So in that
Yeah.
case, venues are open. I mean, they have opened up and they're open to the idea. But in terms of any policies, like Andrew also mentioned, like in his part of the world where insurance or a cover or the hotel, guaranteeing some kind of uh, like a consolation just in case there is something, and overnight the government decides to shut down weddings or events the next year, because it is quite a possibility. We have seen sudden shifts in the way we have all, I mean, we've gone through this entire phase of the past 6 months. So we have seen sudden decisions and unlocks and locks and unlocks and locks. So having said that, I mean, is there anything that they have come up with, or now they are open to the idea and they have left it to wait and watch?
It's a kind of a middle, still wait and watch as
Right.
of now, because like they're accepting, not really, like the concerts are not yet allowed here, and other big events. It's just more of the social events are only allowed here with the basic
Right.
safety standards or safety protocols that we have to observe as well.
Okay. All right. All right. I certainly understand that. And if we had to get back to Italy, how do we stand in Italy with the government measures?
The wedding industry actually is really, really disappointed with the government because they did nothing for our industry. They did nothing. They gave money to everybody, any kind of industry in Italy, but nor the event. and we are trying to fight and to say something, but nothing is happening. And here, it's a huge industry. It's about $50 million. So we are trying to estimate our power, and Italy is a very small country compared to United States, for example. So the impact of the wedding industry is very huge, but nothing. We didn't receive any money specifically for our industry, and we are the last industry to start again. And I really don't know why, but this is so hard for us. And for that reason, we are trying to know each other, to cooperate each other. We created some associations specifically in this moment to hear our voice, but actually the government is not helping anymore. And this is so sad. We are a bit hungry about that.
Right. I mean, well, when it comes to our end in India, we have, I mean, we've not received any allowance or anything as such. I think none of us have. But with regards to the same sentiment, yes, we were in lockdown for the longest time. Then, I mean, there was a complete stop to events. Yes, we are the last industry to open up. We are slowly opening up. I mean, hospitality and event
Yeah.
celebrations is it's the most hit uh, after gyms and restaurants, etc. And at first, we had an opening of around a lead weight for 50 people at a gathering and celebration. And then we have a very reputed event body in India, that's an event industry body, which is EMA. And we have a lot of others as well who have worked towards talking to the government and getting a certain amount of leeway. And since then, we have managed to, in the near future, come to about 100 people per event, like 100 packs an event. In India, we do have more, we do have open spaces as well, but it depends from state to state. So yes, we have our own battle and our own challenges to face with banquet halls and then accommodating the number of people and the packs according to the size of the hall, etc. And then yes, there are so many unanswered questions and restrictions. For example, what does one do if someone lands up getting COVID? Is the planner going to be blamed? For instance, even though we pick up weddings for 100 people, I mean, these are some unanswered questions, and we so it's obviously nice to follow the SOPs, the guidelines, the government measures that have definitely been stated out. So yeah, we are also in the same story and the same boat. Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, so I'm the same with Elisa and how Italy has treated their government. Our government hasn't done anything. We have created coalitions. We have created demonstrations around the country in protest for the lack of support from our government. Our government rolled out a stimulus package where companies could apply for financial support. However, a lot of the bigger companies that weren't even in our industry got the financial support that we feel a lot of the smaller businesses should have been able to get. The country has not given us a second round of a stimulus package to help small businesses financially. So I'm extremely disappointed in our government and our states because they have not done anything to really support what is going on, but they've supported other companies in other industries, which is just disappointing.
True. Yes. I mean, we all, again, I feel the same with
Yeah.
regards to that. And with regards to your own business, I mean, as an entrepreneur, how do you think you have battled uh, this time in terms of restructuring maybe the back end, or how is it that you are coping up with this entire time as a businessman?
Yeah, so for us, it's five of us on my team, and honestly, I'm the only one that none of us are working full time because we just can't. With so many of our couples and our clients that have rescheduled their events, we aren't actively working on events this year or this throughout the month to keep us at a full time level. So everyone is literally part time, and so we're trying. Of course, we have a steady stream of clients coming in, but it's certainly not for the same volume that we would normally get. So it's difficult. I mean, we're just trying to navigate literally day by day to try to ensure that we're still operating, that we're still working with our clients that we have contracts for, and then again, because of the fact that a lot of the clients that we're getting, they're coming in at a much lower rate for service. So it's not like we're getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to be able to produce a wedding. At this point, we're talking about a couple $1,000s, if that, just to be able to produce a wedding. So the scale for a cash flow is tremendously lower than what was before. So we're just doing the best we can.
And with regards to employees, have there been any cutbacks? Have there been any, I mean, have you, uh, asked the crew to not be a part of the organization? Things like
Right.
that.
Yeah, so we still have everyone on board. We haven't cut anyone from the team. We've just limited what they're able to do and what projects they're actually able to plan. So everyone still has something that they're engaged with and what they're planning. It's just not as much as far as the volume, the amount of events that they're actually planning.
Fair. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Jen, if I have to ask you,
Yeah,
what's
same as well. Actually, although we have been getting some inquiries and bookings with virtual weddings,
okay?
so
Okay.
we kind of shifted 80% of our efforts and energy and attention with that, because that is the current need of the market as of now. As compared with, yeah, before, the volume that we're getting, yes, is lower. And we're not running after the big ones, because the big events or the big couples weddings are really not yet sure if they will push through. So that's why we are focusing as of the moment with the intimate and the virtual weddings here in our country.
Right. But with regards to the virtual weddings, so when they are contracting you for the service, it is in full, I mean, in terms of the fee that you are receiving for it, does it do justice to that?
Yeah, we kind of same. We kind of we keep adjusting the costs and the packages and the prices as to what the market is it needs, and of course the value that we see to what
Right.
we are giving, the service that we are giving. So it
Right.
kind of we change it, we just change it. So we're on that track as of now.
Sure. Sure. And Elisa, back
We
at
are in the
you.
same situation of Andrew, because we are five people in the team in the office, and we are working part time, but we are going to be full time from October, just because I'm an entrepreneur and I'm taking a big risk working on other projects I always dreamed of, but I didn't have time to develop. And so actually, I said, okay, this is the time. We are slower in weddings, so we are going to go bigger with the production parts and the academy too. And yeah, and this is my challenge. But talking about weddings, I'm a bit scared for the next year, because, as Andrew said, the cash flow actually is so slow, because all the clients for this year postponed to next year are asking it to pay slower. this is normal. They don't want to pay the 100% of the wedding 1 year before. And so we are experiencing this difficulty. So we are trying to survive and control the bank account day by day, because that's the problem. It's a real problem. We are a company, and we need to pay the bills. And this is what the government don't understand, that we have costs to stay alive. But my scare for next year is that we don't have space, much space for other clients, because the weekends and the weeks are the same, and Italy especially is so
Yeah.
seasonal for weddings. It's about spring, summer, early fall. And so we are ending the weeks, and we are expecting a natural contraction of the weddings also for the next year. So we must be careful, and we must be conscious that it is not finished. So also in the biggest provision, in the best provision, also next year for us will be so challenging. But yeah, this is in our nature to be courageous and to be positive. So we are trying to do our best.
I love the positivity pouring in from each one of you. Of course, it's recharging me completely sitting over here as well. But taking from what you said, I mean, it's amazing how you're rebuilding and you're in a way backward integrating or diversifying into production. So you're preparing your own production at back end for the weddings that will come up next year.
Yeah.
Having said that, what do you think would be our next year like?
In terms of wedding requests,
Yeah, weddings. Yes.
we are experiencing the same requests as ever. This was surprising for me, but I can't say any difference. I think because people want to get married in Italy, and so this is their dream, and they don't want to get compromises. So are the same requests. Intimate weddings or larger weddings for 2,050 people, no matter. And also about the fees, I didn't experience a request of discounts or something like that, fortunately. I
Luckily.
yeah, we just see that people are a bit carefully when they decide to go ahead. So they need just more time to understand, to see what will be happening in the next months. But actually, it's the same.
Right. So do you think, I mean, by when do you think we would finally open up to the world in terms of weddings and be back to what we call normal?
Finger crossed. I really hope so. Really hope so.
Yeah. And Andrew, when do you think we would be back and when do you see that we'll actually be back on our feet in full capacity?
So I predict that we will start getting back to a sense of normalcy the fall of next year. I don't think that we are going to see any significant changes until that point, because a lot of progression is going to be counted on finding a vaccine for COVID-19. And I don't think that it's going to be wise to do any full scale wedding or event until then. I mean, we've had so many cases here in the United States where we see people trying to have events, and they have events with a large capacity, and something happened. Well, COVID happens, and you have a number of people that are infected. And so we know that it only takes one person, to be able to spread COVID. And when you're in such large capacity events, we see how much harm that brings to actually trying to get better. So I don't think that we're going to see anything until the fall of next year, if not the beginning of 2022.
Wow. And that is a tinge of practicality with the positivity that we are all holding up with, as much as we are all hopeful.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Jen, what do you think? When do you think, I mean, we're going to be back and not doing as many intimate weddings and getting back to those larger than life celebrations and those big fat weddings across all over.
Here in our country, I would say more than 2 years as compared with yours. Because if you've heard of our system here,
Yeah.
it's kind of slow. So I really think that we're going back live the big live events that we've been doing, and I think 2 to 3 years.
Really, that long? So then
I
you know where you have to, who you have to contact and where you have to bring your clients now. Destination weddings, hopefully if the other parts of the world start up, you've got three numbers right here.
but and the first place we can't go out of the country because of the restrictions
Of course.
and everything.
Oh, but you're not hopeful that you think that would open up in some time?
Probably when your countries are doing it, then we will follow.
I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
hopeful.
Yes, right. So when maybe Andrew's country starts doing it, then we will follow.
We are not setting a good example whatsoever. Do not follow the United States.
No comments, but
Yeah.
we love all of you. And we can't wait to do a wedding in each part of the world, and I can't wait to do a wedding with each one of you and collaborate at
Same
some
here.
point.
Same.
So, I mean, if I had to just ask each one of you, really has intimate weddings really taken the cake, and are people really engaging in it? I mean, Jen, you've actually mentioned that you are doing a lot of intimate weddings. Back at home, I'm not sure if there are too many happening. There are a few, I mean, yeah, but not in that capacity. If I'm seeing the trend of the clients and the brides and the grooms, most of them are willing to wait and are wanting to go all out, or are doing like the small intimate celebration in terms of the religious ceremony at home, and then are ready to celebrate with pomp and show maybe next year or year after, whenever this opens up. But having said that, I would like to know, I mean, from your end, I mean, especially now from Elisa in Italy and in the US, is it really something that's happening, intimate weddings, or people are venturing out? Do you think digital weddings, intimate weddings are here to stay even when we open up and we are back to the so-called normal that we have and we've been living? Or do you think that this is absolutely the new normal? I mean, if you could share some light on that. Elisa, if I could ask you.
No, I don't think so. I think that people who want an intimate wedding is having an intimate wedding, but people who dream a big wedding with a thousand of guests are still waiting. So, in my own experience, they are not getting any compromise. Any compromises. So best for them to wait 6 months, 1 year, 1 year and a half, but they want to have their dream wedding. And I think intimate wedding it's a concept, and also for decors, for atmospheres, for the feeling, and so people who choose intimate weddings they will still do it, but also couples who want to have their big wedding they don't transform their ideas and I cannot see any difference. I don't think intimate wedding will be a trend. It's just an option.
Yeah, well, maybe, I mean, something that we're doing, as we say, need of the hour, as Jen mentioned at some point earlier.
But I can see that in Italy they are not doing a restriction about the number of people. So they
Okay.
started at the beginning, but actually not. They are just asking to be careful and the sanitization, some masks, etc. So if
Right.
you want to have a wedding with 300 people, you can. The problem is
Oh,
just the destination market, not for the locals.
okay. Sorry, I didn't get your last line. The problem is just that.
It's just for the destination wedding market because we
Okay,
cannot
okay.
do
Okay.
destination weddings because of the borders and the
Right,
flights.
right, right. Of course, of course, of course. Yes. And Andrew, if I had to ask you, intimate versus digital weddings, virtual weddings, because that is something that has also come up uh, to basically access the entire globe and to connect all of us and to make it smaller. What do you think?
Yeah, so we honestly have been doing very well with we call them micro weddings. And so what we are doing honestly over the past, I want to say 2 months, we booked about 10 micro weddings.
Wow.
Yeah, and so what we're doing is that with our concept, we're allowing couples to have the small weddings, but we're also live streaming it so that way their extended audience can actually see it. And like Elisa was saying, you're right. A lot of the couples that we are interacting with, they are having the small micro wedding, but they're also still going to have the larger wedding when everything clears up. I think the main reason why we are seeing a lot of the intimate weddings is because of the legal aspects and benefits of it, because the couples want to make sure they have protection. They want to make sure that if anything does happen to their spouse, that they're legally married and that the other spouse can make those decisions for them. So I think that's really critical to try to get at least the ceremony aspect of it done now versus having to wait. So we are seeing an increase. Our weddings go all the way through December, but we've cut it off for just 2020 because I don't think that a lot of couples are going to want to do these small intimate weddings starting next year. So we've cut it off for just 2020.
Okay, all right. Well, you are rolling with all the intimate as well as the micro weddings as well, Andrew. We see it. You
Yeah.
could help us with a few across the globe. No, but that's amazing. At least, as we say, we are keeping busy, and of course, it's always nice to have the brides and grooms married.
Yeah.
So that's nice. So, well, I've heard two bits of each one of us speaking about what we think, what's in store for us, for our industry, and I hope and pray that it's all going to be positive, and we're all going to bounce back. And I believe that with positivity as well as a united outlook, I mean, we together obviously will come through this as well. And this will be, I think the season that's going to be coming next, we won't have time to breathe. We are going to be fully packed.
Right. So that definitely was a very informative discussion and a great insight into what the wedding industry looks like currently, with a lot of positivity, definitely. But as Andrew Robbie correctly mentioned the facts, and it was nice to hear the truth of when the industry is going to open up, what we can expect from people from across the globe. I mean, right now we have 4 speakers on the panel from literally from different parts of the world. So we have gotten the realistic idea of what it is in the industry from across the globe. And I would say that I think it's almost the same. There is no much of a difference. People are almost in the same boat right now. Events have not been happening. Um, what do you think, Shweta, or anyone who wants to give an opinion on that?
Well, as I actually opened up today's session with a quote that I had read somewhere, that we've all come on our different ships, but today at this point we're all in one boat, and collaboration genuinely is the key. And with honestly a united outlook and a united outfront, a front that we all have, we will definitely get through this. I'm all about being positive. I'm all about focusing and rebuilding and focusing all our energies towards the future. And there's nothing that can stop us. And where are all those people going to go? I mean, they have to be married at some point, if not this year, next year, someday. We'll make up for the loss. Till then, reinvent, recoup, rebuild, refocus, take time to just breathe and have fun, because that's the most important part, because this energy is needed in the coming months to come.
Definitely. Anything that Jen, Alyssa, or Andrew you want to add on to before we wrap up the session?
Yeah, I just want to say we're in the business of joy. And so, of course, we have to focus on business and save our industry, but also we have to remember that our work is also to give joy to people. And so, the first people to be optimistic is our industry. We need to be optimistic and to try to search the power and the strength also on inside and each other. And this is a very important moment for our industry to know each other, to share experiences, but also to share fears and find the courage each other. And that's my hope that the wedding will be stronger than ever after that.
Perfect. Beautiful. Anything from Jen or Andrew?
Yeah, I just say that, now is the time to really try to figure out what more we could do. I think that we're all creative people. I think that we all have the ability to reach greatness and to do a little bit more from ourselves. And I think now is a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity for us maybe to not necessarily focus everything on a wedding or for an event, but how can we provide other services that is still on that creative realm to be able to still stay in business and to increase cash flow. But I'm optimistic. I'm hopeful. And like all of you have said, I believe that we're going to get back to amazing weddings. But we're just on a field trip. We're just taking a little journey somewhere else for right now. And I think it will go back to having these awesome celebrations. So we just have to stay positive and keep that mindset.
Perfect. And Jen?
Yeah, similarly as well. As much as we know that half or almost 80% of our industry are on a pause, us here collaborating and sharing ideas and sharing inspiration with each other. This is a nice way to keep our businesses going. So when the world opens up again, we are the first ones, and who are, or rather, we are the ones remaining who stood by the test of times.
Beautifully said. So, thank you once again for all of you to join in. I know it's really early morning for Andrew and Elisa, but still, thank you once again. And thank you, Jweta, for moderating this amazing panel. It was lovely to have you all here. Thank you once again, guys.
Deep pleasure. Thank you.